Oh brother, it's Teamfight Tactics time again. There's an exceptional amount of depth in this game, and because of that, there's a lot of things to learn in your journey of Teamfight Tactics. Today I want to cover 16 things that you may not know exist within the game. Either you're new to the game, or there's just so much depth to the game it's hard to know it all. These are things that I see all the time players may have missed or don't realize is happening when they're in the game. The first one is Sorcerers and Elementalists gain double mana. They actually have 2 times the amount of mana maximum per hit, and they're able to gain more mana per hit on average. So this means that if you ever convert a unit into a sorcerer, just because they're a sorcerer, they're gonna gain more mana every single time they attack. The number 2 thing you may not know about Teamfight Tactics is Yasuo's tornado ability applies on hit effects. Not just items like Morellos that applies based on spellcast, but also items like Hush, Swordbreaker. This makes Yasuo a one-stop shop for on-hit items in the late stages of the game. He's able to silence an entire enemy team with a Hush or apply an anti-heal with the red buff or Morellos. That's why Yasuo is so flexible and generally an easy unit to throw into your comp late into the game. The number 3 thing that you may not know about Teamfight Tactics is units have differing mana pool sizes that affect how quickly they can use their abilities. Some units have a maximum of 100, while some units have 75, and you'll see this start to vary more and more as time goes on. Not only that, but some units start with a little bit of mana because the designers at Riot want to allow units to be able to cast their first ability more easily, and some of the units may need to cast their abilities more often, like an Ahri. They don't have a team-wiping ultimate, but they want to have an ability they can use frequently. The number 4 thing you may not know about Teamfight Tactics is Seraph's Embrace triggers off of any spellcast, even friendly ones. So if you have a very high casting team, running a Seraph's Embrace will still benefit from that. You don't have to wait for the enemy to cast abilities. Coming at number 5, spawned units deal damage to the enemy as well, like Elise's spiders. We don't have a whole lot of units that can be spawned other than the golem from Elementalists in the game right now, but as we go on to the future, units that are on the board when the round ends will deal damage to the enemy. You'll see this where Elise can actually be a really great unit to punish enemies when you're ahead, because having 2, 3, or 4 spiders on the board will deal additional damage to the enemy, killing them off sooner. Coming at number 6, units will maintain aggro for a full second, even if an enemy is pulled out of range. This is something that I see a lot of players not realize when they're running a unit like Blitzcrank or they're running assassins. If you're running a group on the right side of the map and your Blitzcrank is on the left, you will start by attacking the units in front of you, and then if Blitz pulls that unit away from you, your units will chase that unit for a full second before they acquire a new target. And this can actually be a huge negative because your units are running around trying to chase that target that got yanked away before they move and find a new target and start a new fight. Coming at number 7, units have a limited pool available, so not everyone can have the same build. Units have an availability, so if you get a lot of ashes being picked up in the game, your likelihood of seeing an ash goes down. So you have to be careful about going a build that everyone in the game is going at the same time, because that makes it even harder to get the units that you want. The number 8 thing you may not know about Teamfight Tactics is that the unit item Zephyr is targetable. This is actually one of the most powerful units in the very, very late stages of the game when the enemy team has a very specific unit you want to counter. And it's also when the number of players is low, right? When you're in the top 2 and you're guaranteed to go against an enemy, you know that you can counter a specific unit. Say they're running a full Draven build and they're putting units around it to protect the Draven. You can position a unit to counter the Draven at the start of the match. The way this works is called rotational symmetry. It's not a perfect mirror across the middle of the board. It's called rotational symmetry because you can take your board and rotate it around the center axis, and that's where it will be on the opposite side. So if you're looking to counter the back left, then you have to be on your back right, if that makes sense. So you're able to counter whatever is rotationally symmetrical across the other side of the board based on where you place the unit that has the Zephyr. This is great because if you put it on a unit that doesn't have any situational or positional requirements, you can move it around freely and counter the enemy build. The number 9 thing you may not know about Teamfight Tactics is the Hurricane item procs on hit effects. Runan's Hurricane will proc on hit effects. This includes Glacial, this includes Demon, any of those kind of procs. One of my favorite builds to run is a fully stacked 6 Glacial build where you put a Hurricane on an Ash or someone that's a Glacial, and then you get to watch them just pepper the enemy team with projectiles that will freeze them on hit. Coming at number 10, there is actually bad luck protection in the game. I know it doesn't feel like it, and I feel you sometimes. I don't even see it myself. However, if you don't get items early on in the game, your chances of getting items later in the game increases. Obviously, this isn't a perfect system, but it is nice to know that if you start the game with 1 item and someone else starts the game with 5 items, you will then have a higher than normal chance of getting items every creep round that follows that, so you can catch up a little bit into the mid and late game. This goes along with the thought process of never truly giving up when you're playing Teamfight Tactics, because you have to make sure that you're just 1 unit away or 1 item away from the perfect build and stabilizing any damage you're taking if you're losing early. So if you start the match and you get a bunch of gold, don't worry, you're able to get more based on the bad luck protection that it is in the game. The number 11 thing that you may not know about Teamfight Tactics is the Phantom synergy bonus that you get from any 2 Phantoms, Karthus, Kindred, or Mordekaiser. This will actually trigger on PvE bosses like Dragon, Rift Herald, and Elder Dragon. And it's a great way to help take down these mobs if you feel like you don't have the amount of damage you would need to destroy that mob, because it'll take a chunk of HP. Now, it obviously won't take them down to 10% or really low like it does the other units in the game, but it will take a sizable chunk out of their HP. Number 12, and this is a very big one and one that I learned the hard way, Ionic Spark does not stack. Only 1 Ionic Spark can trigger per team in a round. So if you already have an Ionic Spark on your units on the board, don't make another one. It will only proc once for every spell that is cast. Coming in at number 13, if you are part of the last 9.14 meta, you would know this deep into your heart, but assassins will apply the Frozen Heart as they pass over enemies on their initial jump. Because the Frozen Heart is an aura item and applies to anyone around the unit as they're moving around, the jump for the assassins counts for this. So you can actually get 1 or 2 or 3 Frozen Hearts on an assassin because they do stack on top of each other. And when the game starts and they jump across the entire enemy team, they will apply that Frozen Heart to everyone that is in range of the aura as they pass over the top. If you get a Frozen Heart, which isn't super popular right now, but if you do get one, putting it on assassin can be quite effective in slowing the initial start of the round. Number 14, Luden's Echo will only proc on the first hit of a spell, even if a spell hits multiple times. So if you're running, say, a brand, it's not gonna proc Luden's every single time the brand ult bounces and hits another person. It will only proc on the first initial instance of that spell dealing damage. This counts for AoE spells as well. If you get an Aurelian Soul that hits the entire enemy team, it's gonna proc on the first unit it hits and not on any subsequent hit after that. So keep that in mind as you're planning if you're doing a Sorcerer build or an Elementalist build and you want to put the Luden's Echo in there, keep in mind that it only procs on the first hit of the spell. Number 15 is Lulu's Wild Growth ability is not reduced by anti-healing effects like Morellos or Red Buff, since it isn't technically a heal. Lulu is applying bonus HP, which is technically just maximum HP increase to the unit that's getting healed by it, so it won't get reduced by that, which is why Lulu is super popular right now in this Morellos heavy meta. And finally, number 16, the 16th thing you may not know about Teamfight Tactics is Volibear's attack when he has his ability active is actually physical. So you're not going to be able to benefit from a death cap or any of those kind of ability scaling items, but it does apply on hit effects just like the Yasuo tornado. So Red Buff, Hush, Curse Blade, any of those will proc from every unit hit by the chain lightning from Volibear's attacks. But even though it does look like lightning, it is a physical based ability. And that does it for this video. I try to keep it short and sweet for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And don't forget to check out my live stream, twitch.tv/drybear. Check me out on Instagram, instagram.com/RoryNewbro. You'll find links for those down in the description. And if you're looking for even more videos, I've got tons of Teamfight Tactics content on my channel. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you in the next one.